Our virtual event was focused on culture and connecting and brainstorming new ideas. And it was for about 1,500 people. So we were wanting to find a way virtually from people's homes, how we pull them together and create the relationship building that typically would maybe happen in person or in offices across the US. And so we were looking for a way to bring everybody together to create relationships and a place where we could do that all together over the course of about 3 weeks and over about 12 hours per person attendance, but about 3 weeks or about 80 or so hours worth of content over that time period. So a place where all of that could really live in one spot and everybody could just go back to over the course of the programming. Through the build process, I was just so excited every time I got to see updates of the platform or when I was finally able to get in it and move around and start sharing it with others. And it was just so pretty, I guess maybe is the word. I felt excited to share the platform with others and excited for them to experience all the content that we had built into it, but also just how visually appealing it was, how it felt like you weren't just maybe sitting in your office in your home, but that you were maybe for a moment transported somewhere else into this event. And we looked at a lot of different platforms, but what we really loved about this platform is that it has a visual interest in that it really takes you somewhere else. And so for attendees, we were sending out kind of little pictures of what it looked like to drum up excitement and to, for people to feel excited to log on when we finally launched the platform. And they did that. Our first couple of days, people really engaged with the different areas that we set up. And while, yes, they were in the sessions, they were also checking out the exhibit hall and the networking lounge and some of the areas as well that we had set up for creating connections. I would say I have a couple of, I guess, what I would say lessons learned or tips for others. I think the first is know your audience and know what they're going to need and expect. I know my audience loves all the branding and loves having our logo everywhere and loves the visual. And so that was really important to us. And that's something that we were able to build in, little things like the background picture in the exhibit hall. We made one of the cities where our presenters were presenting from. Little details like that, I think really make a difference. And the cool thing is anytime we asked, no matter how crazy it seemed, the answer was almost always yes. If the platform allowed it, they did it. And they found a way to make it as customized and as much as what we wanted it to be and feel. So know your audience and know what they're going to utilize and know what their expectations are and be able to set that up. Build that for them. Plan surprises to delight and to keep them on their toes. We built in gifting things that came in the mail that were surprises, and we built in really amazing keynotes, but that had other things built into it. Open this box during this session, things like that. So just create some surprises and things to delight throughout the experience. Keep your online time short and purposeful. I think that, going into an 8-hour Zoom meeting all day long for 2 or 3 days is a lot. That's why we really purposefully built our event over 3 weeks and allowed people, a handful of general sessions, a handful of like yoga and wellness sessions, but also then times where they were in breakouts and doing really purposeful work. And keeping it short. They do an hour here and then an hour there throughout the week. I think that was really impactful to the success of our event, and still allowing people in this work from home environment to be able to, or even in a work from office environment, to be able to focus on their work and their family life and their home life and other things while still participating and getting a lot out of our programming. I noticed that I planned this whole event from home, and I was able to still tuck my kids in at night, and I was still able to participate in things with my family because I wasn't on site for several days. So really, virtual makes such a difference, and I don't think it's going away. I think it's just going to change and become more of a hybrid. I think also find fun and interesting ways to create authentic connections. I think one of the ways we did that best was through the networking lounge and really setting up tables with different topics and themes that people could connect around and create relationships around. And when you're across office, across cities or, not seeing each other in the hallway, that's really the way that people are able to create those relationships and bond and grow. So those, I think, would be my key tips for a virtual event. We came into this on a very short timeline. We, I think, signed a contract in early January, and we were basically at launch point by mid-February, and our first event was February 22nd. So it was a really tight build time, which was kind of crazy. But as I kind of alluded to earlier, anytime that we had a question or a problem or a can we do this, the response was yes. If the platform allowed it, they were going to go above and beyond to figure it out. I think one example is we were building out like a media library. And we had a couple of different areas that were set up in the same back end, but on the front end were in very different places. And at a week out, it wasn't quite what we were looking for. It wasn't working out the way we needed it to. And we did a huge shift. And they were able to accommodate that and get it done. And it turned out perfectly. It was exactly what we needed. And so it was just that thinking outside the box, shifting, and then being able to get that taken care of on a really short time frame. I think another thing is the networking lounge that I mentioned. We were able to change the names of the tables on a daily basis to keep things interesting and fun and change it up. And so there was just a lot of flexibility. I think the other thing I'll talk about is issues, when something goes wrong, because in the virtual world, something's going to go wrong. And so we really worked to anticipate that. We, the E2M team met with our IT help desk and met with our desktop support team and kind of went through troubleshooting. And then they, when the issue came up, they were on the spot, troubleshooting, working it out, working with my team to get a quick solution to our attendees so that they could still get onto their session or get something switched or whatever was needed. And then the other piece of that is if something wasn't quite working right, which happened during our live program, shifting. What's plan B? What can this look like? Trying it out. And while we had to try it a few times to get it right, we got it right. And that was the most important part, is that we were able to figure out a solution that worked and continue that on through the rest of our program. So for that, I was really grateful and was really a team environment where we were all working together. And I felt responded to. Anytime I sent an email or a chat or whatever, that I knew that it was being looked at, taken care of, and then I'd hear back.